You might notice something about this board of standings here, and you'll notice that nothing's changed from last week. Because as I said last week, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, with one noticeable exception. They may stay the same on the standings. God damn you, Capybara. But the Brahmas lost. I did not see that coming. I did not see the Defenders winning at all. The Brahmas beat the Defenders week 1. I thought it was going to be a repeat of that. I was wrong. The Defenders kept their playoff hopes more than alive. They managed to win. And somehow, in all of this, still no one is eliminated from playoff contention. I don't know how. It's wild that we're over halfway through the season and still no one's been eliminated. But it's true. Even the Renegades could still make it with a win this week and a Battlehawks loss. Or a Brahmas or Defenders loss. It's bananas. The UFL's so weird. But anyway, I took a lot of notes this week, so let's dive right in. The first game, Stallions Showboats. I predicted the Stallions win, like everyone and their mother, and the Stallions won. The Showboats just did not look all that respectable, as usual. I said about the Stallions, their defense has a way of tiring opponents out, which I think is a key part of their game plan. Just run at them, make them sweat, make them tired until they keep making mistakes, and then pounce on those mistakes as much as you can. Martinez is a better passer than I thought. I didn't give him much credit as a passer early on. I was wrong. He's improved a lot over the course of this season, and I'm impressed, genuinely impressed. Jordan Thomas with an amazing one-handed, oh yes! He just went, grabbed it, and then went out the sideline. Amazing stuff. A great fake handoff. Martinez seems really, really good at play action, which is very impressive to me, because it's something that's run all the time. Great catch by Marlon Williams for the touchdown. Going for it late in the second is a choice. They went for it on fourth down late in the second quarter. It seems like that's just a running thing in the UFL. I don't understand it. It almost always results in disaster and gives the other team great field position. So I beats me. I'm not a coach. Great 45-yard field goal by Ahmed. Martinez's runs, as usual, amazing. The best part about his game. A great throw, great catch, great yards after for Kevin Austin with his 80-yard touchdown. Amazing stuff. Ahmed missed a 48-yard field goal. Tough. Williams with another solid touchdown late, and a very well-defended 4th and 12 late in the game to keep the Showboats from trying to come back. The Showboats, meanwhile, Cookus sacked very early, running theme, as usual, against the Stallions, and then a strip sack, turn it over. Their pass rush looks mostly solid. Their run game is also solid. Cookus getting zero help from the O-line. The O-line for the Showboats is a problem, a big problem, and I don't really know what the answer is. There was trouble with extra points repeatedly, which gave the Stallions an early edge and only sought to make the edge bigger and bigger and bigger over time. Darius Victor seems like a reliable running back. Really, really solid runs from him. Beautiful 47-yard field goal for Coughlin. He was perfect all day. Great stop on fourth down late in the second quarter. Like I said, Stallions made a questionable call to go for it. I don't know why they did that. Coughlin with another great field goal. Great stop on fourth down. And of course it doesn't matter because Cookus was sacked again right after that fourth down stop. Great deep pass in garbage time. A successful three-point conversion, which I never thought we were going to see. Didn't matter because it was super late in the game and the Showboats were almost guaranteed to lose anyway, but it was cool. It was cool. And they failed the 4th and 12 conversion. Bummer. One of the only times I've seen someone fail. I think no, it couldn't have been the only time. Anyway, the Showboats are hapless. They are flailing around. Their one win has been against the goddamn Roughnecks. Everyone else who has played them has absolutely trounced them. Or in the Brahmas case, embarrassed them by coming back very late in the game. So, I don't see it. I feel like the Showboats are just treading water, is how I feel about them right now. The next game, the Roughnecks and the Battlehawks. I predicted the Battlehawks would win, and they did pretty handily. However, I will give Houston credit. This was probably not a great showing, but their least embarrassing showing. They looked okay. This was the best they've ever lost, I would say, even though the score doesn't really reflect that. The Roughnecks, a great sack by Odom to force a punt early. I think the Houston defense has always looked solid. That has not been their problem by any means. Their O-line is awful. Sinnett, their quarterback, feels like he has to do everything. He has to scramble. He has to get rid of the ball. He has to look around. He has to watch for linebackers. He has to do everything. The O-line doesn't help him. His receivers don't help him. His running backs help him a bit, but not much. The O-line is awful. Good work by Sinnett getting rid of the ball to avoid a sack. He's got great awareness. He just doesn't have any help at all, it feels like. So it's like, what's he supposed to do? Sinnett makes some solid throws. He's got a good arm. He's got good awareness. He just keeps getting harassed. Almost fumbled away the ball again. Mark Thompson is a really solid running back, and he got a great touchdown. I just wish he was able to do more, but one good player does not a full team make. Defense with a great stop on 4th down against the Battlehawks. And they got a sack later. Costly fumble again in the 4th quarter, which took the wind out of their sails completely. They had a real shot late. They really did. I felt like there was a chance. If they got a touchdown, converted the 4th and 12, and got another touchdown, they could have honestly won it. But they just could not convert on 4th down late in the game, and that was it. This felt like the most winnable game for them somehow, even though they're playing the Battlehawks, who are one of the best teams in the league. But it felt doable, which is wild. I was not expecting to feel optimistic about Houston's chances late in a game against one of the top contenders in the league. But they looked okay. Not horrible, not amazing. They were okay. Their O-line is dreadful. That's the biggest thing. Sinnett, when he has time to do things, looks amazing. But he rarely, if ever, has time to do things. So, what can you do? Now, the Battlehawks, meanwhile, I had less to say. Great run defense by Sebastian for negative yards. Their run defense, the Battlehawks defense in general, looked great. You listen to me. I'm trying to do a video. You're making it really hard. The Battlehawks defense, in general, was really good. Partially because the Houston offense was bad. Especially the O-line. Made it very easy for the Battlehawks defense to get sacks, to get negative yardage situations. But still, impressive. Finally, on drive 3, they got some momentum. It was pretty slow going early on. Both teams, it was pretty defensive, back and forth and back and forth. Finally, the Battlehawks got something going, and it's all gone when they threw a pick in the end zone. Again, Houston's defense, I gotta give them credit. They were solid. They are doing everything they can to give their team an opportunity to come back in the game. The offense just cannot deliver. McCarron makes some great throws, that interception notwithstanding. Hakeem Butler for the touchdown. Quote one of the announcers, "He's just too tall." Great forced fumble in the 4th quarter, which gave them the momentum again. Buzzer beater touchdown at the end of the 2nd quarter. The fumble was earlier in the game. McCarron with a great run on a bad snap. He turned nothing into something very easily. We got one of my favorite dumb little plays. The intentional safety at the end of a game to run out the clock. I'm a big fan. I think they're very silly. I enjoy them, especially because you end up with some really wacky little scores, which is always fun. The Roughnecks, like I said, looked okay. The Battlehawks continue to just be excellent at just about everything. I think they have the XFL on lock. Could be wrong, but we'll see. Now, Renegades Panthers. Arlington, you got so close! They got so close to finally having a win! And the Panthers did the same shit they did to the Battlehawks week 1 with a last-second Jake Bates field goal to win the game and steal the hearts of everybody. Rip them out of their chests and stomp on them. Brutal. The Renegades had maybe their best game all season. And that's not an exaggeration. That's not just... I don't think that's recency bias. They played really, really well. They were a couple seconds from winning this game. So let's dive in. The Renegades, the O-line is pitiful. That's just how it is. Unfortunately, Perez does not have a lot of help as far as the O-line is concerned. He looks really solid early, though. Perez is a great quarterback. He just doesn't have a great team around him. Garibay with a nice field goal. Their kicking was pretty good. Several penalties throughout the game that cost them in big moments. Again and again. Twice. Jake Bates kicked a field goal. It was good. They committed a penalty. The Michigan Panthers got a first down, got to keep going, get a closer field goal. Just needless penalties that only serve to cost them. Perez is smothered again and again. His O-line does nothing to protect him. That's all. Hunter is a great runner. Burnett is a solid receiver. Hunter injures himself celebrating. It was so sad. He's such a good runner, and he just jumped too high and landed on his leg wrong. I hope he's okay. I don't know all the details, but I hope he's okay. Peyton with a great catch. Really, really great catch at the end of the second. Canelo with a 19-yard touchdown. The Renegades were in it the whole game, honest to God. Defense is okay. The Renegades' defense is okay. They have work to do. Their pass rush is really solid. They got a sack late in the third, which is really good, by Beasley. I wrote verbatim, too many fucking penalties. When you're that close to winning, and you lose by that slim of a margin, I feel like it's got to come down to something like penalties. I feel like you have to tighten those things, or you're not going to get anywhere. Speaks amazingly prevents an interception. There was a great play where Speaks, one of the wide receivers, almost got it picked and ripped it out of the defender's hands. Beautiful work. Honestly amazing. Great touchdown run by Peyton. Big sack by St. Amour. Near disastrous fumble near the end of the game. And then Garibay kicked what should have been a game-winning field goal with less than a minute to go. But on that note, we discussed the Michigan Panthers. Marcus Sims with a crazy catch and Mariner with a touchdown. The Panthers just look sharp. Their offense just seems to have a swagger. I use that word pretty liberally, but it's true. The Panthers just look like a good football team. They look like they are confident. They know what they're doing. It looks like they know they're going to win when they play, which is a great sign. Mariner with a great diving catch. 55-yard field goal from Bates, of course, because he's only missed 2 field goals all season. So, who's surprised? Mariner with another great catch, because he's just collecting them like Pokemon cards now. Another field goal, easy peasy. Doesn't count. There's roughing. Another made field goal, like I said. All these penalties. Etling, the quarterback for the Panthers, the backup after Perry went down, is okay. He makes some really good throws. My biggest issue with Etling, he takes a long time to get the ball out of his hands. And sometimes that's because he's looking for the absolute best decision. And he makes that decision. And it's great. Sometimes he spends way too long and he gets sacked. And then it's just a loss. I think if he can go through his progressions faster, he's going to be an amazing quarterback. But until then, he's just a little slow for my liking. Rough drive early in the fourth for Michigan. Another field goal. They just got beat the shit out of. Michigan forced a turnover on downs against Arlington. The defense did a great job of that. Etling runs for 40 yards out of fucking nowhere. Amazing. Hills with a great touchdown run. A bobbled kick gets run all the way back to the Arlington 46. This was at the very end with a minute left. I think if this kick had been well defended, I don't think the Panthers would have won. I think the Renegades could have won it. But the fact that Marcus Sims went from bobbling the kick to running it all the way to the Arlington 46, where all Etling needed to do was get it a few further yards, and Bates was able to easily boot the game winner. I feel like it's just, I don't know, special teams in the UFL has been so bizarre. Because every once in a while you have these great plays, but then you have Arlington losing the game on special teams, ostensibly. It's very weird, and I don't understand why teams don't seem to be prioritizing special teams, because here's my view. If you are playing special teams perfectly, none of your other personnel need to come out on the field. Period. If both teams' special teams are playing amazing, at least on one side of the field, then there's no need for anyone else to come out. It can just be kick return, kick return, kick return, kick return. Nothing else is actually required to play football. And yet these teams don't prioritize it, which is so weird to me. I don't get that decision at all. Anyway, and Bates again with the game winner. Who's surprised? He can't keep getting away with this. It's so funny how easy he makes it look, when I know it's not at all. He's going to the NFL. I don't see how he's not. Anyway, the last game, Brahma's Defenders. The one game I predicted wrong. And I was actually kind of happy to, because the Defenders have been pleasantly surprising me these last few weeks. Except for last week when they got blown out by the Battlehawks. But other than that, they've been actually improving. So let's get in. Brahmas. Love it with a great run and another great run. He's a really solid runner. Again and again. Santoso as a very good kicker. Really solid field goals all throughout. Dormady with a great scramble for a first down. He has a really good knack for knowing when he has to get the hell out of Dodge and making something out of nothing. Love it with a 30-yard run and a touchdown. He's ridiculous. He's absolutely incredible. He's the best player on the Brahmas, if you ask me. Santoso with another field goal. Oh, yeah, okay. We'll talk about this last thing later. The Defenders impressed the fuck out of me. Genuinely. Really impressed. I've been talking shit about the Defenders for a lot of the season. I was really impressed. So, great early interception by Kelly. Doesn't matter, but that's okay. Well defended at the end zone for a turnover on downs against the Brahmas. Scott with a great catch. There was an awful lateral play early in the game where the quarterback, Ta'amu, threw it sideways and backwards. And for some reason, even though the receiver dropped it, he just let it go. And the Brahmas scooped it up and turned it over. You fall on that thing. I'm not knocking the receiver. Maybe he hadn't been coached. I'm knocking the coaching. Why was he not drilled again and again? If you're not sure if it's forward or backwards, fall on that thing. At all costs. And instead he just was like, oh, what? Oh, and then they were already gone. That was it. It was so weird. And just a totally unnecessary turnover. Higgins with some nice runs. Ta'amu's passing. I want to give Jordan Ta'amu some props. Because I have said throughout the season that I think the passing game for DC has been awful. He looked good. And not just like for him. He looked good. He looked like a serviceable passer. I was impressed. I gotta give him credit where credit is due. I don't know what else to say. Touchdown DC. Cam Harris with a great run. Great sack. Roberson did well. Higgins is a bull in a china shop. He is an amazing runner. Genuinely amazing. Beautiful runs all throughout. Harris also running well. McCrane with a 58-yard field goal. That was beautiful. Rowland with a 59-yard kick return. And Harmon with a 23-yard catch. Touchdown by Harmon. Great throw, great catch on 3rd and 11, no less. Harmon with a 23-yard catch. And then the most ill-fated lateral play attempt in the history of the UFL, the one-year history. Yeah, it was going nowhere. They were trying to pull out a miracle. I don't know why they threw it short, but they did. And it was a disaster. Anyway, power rankings. I am not going to pull out the whiteboard this time because this is already running long. I'll just say my power rankings. Number 8, Renegades. No one's surprised. Number 7, Roughnecks. No one's surprised. Number 6, Showboats. No one's surprised. Only 2 teams swap here. Number 5, Defenders. Same placement. I need to see them string some sort of success together. But I think they can do it. I need to see it to believe it. Number 4, Brahmas. I know the Brahmas beat the Panthers. I'm aware. However, that was with E.J. Perry being injured, and I actually think the Panthers look better now than they did early in the season. I feel like the Panthers could beat the Brahmas now. And that's why I'm putting the Panthers at 3 over the Brahmas. I think the Panthers have a really good shot. I mean, I don't think the Showboats or the Roughnecks are giving them competition to make the playoffs. Will they beat the Stallions in the playoffs? Doubtful. Possible, but doubtful. I'd love to see it. And I'm always going to root for an underdog. But I think the fact that they are making the playoffs after the dismal first 2 seasons they had is a miracle in and of itself. Number 2, the Battlehawks, of course. And number 1, the Stallions, of course. Speaking of those 2 teams, next week's matchups. Let's discuss. Showboats and Renegades. I think this is the Renegades' last real chance to get a win. Because I don't think the Renegades are turning this season around. There's no way. It'd be a ridiculous turnaround to win the last four and make the playoffs over both the Brahmas and the Defenders. Unthinkable. I think they could very well go winless this season. I think this week is their last real chance, because the last 3 games of the season are all divisional matchups, and I do not think they're going to beat the Battlehawks, Brahmas, or the Defenders. So I think the Showboats are their last real chance to win a game. And I'm picking them. I'm picking the Renegades. Against all my better judgment, something in my gut will not allow me to abandon the Renegades, despite every reason they've shown me to. I can't help it. I'm addicted. I'm hooked on Luis Perez. I can't help myself. And man, if they lose, I don't even know. I don't know anymore. Battlehawks versus Stallions. This is the game of the weekend, perhaps of the regular season. We have the number 1 team from both conferences playing one another. 6-0, 5-1. I think the Stallions will win, but I think it's going to be close. And I could very well be wrong. I think both of these teams have a really, really, really solid shot of winning this game. But I think the Stallions have a little bit of an edge. Panthers, Defenders. I know I put the Defenders 2 spots below the Panthers. I just can't, I can't help myself. I like the underdog stories. I'm picking the Defenders, and I don't have a logical explanation for it, but something in my gut tells me the Defenders are winning this game. And I am more than happy to be proven wrong, because I like the Panthers. We shall see. And Brahmas, Roughnecks, I don't think the Roughnecks have a shot in hell. I think the Brahmas are winning this game. Easy peasy. And that's all I got. All I've got, as though this hasn't been the longest recap so far. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you all have a good rest of your weekend. I have a Twitter, an Instagram, a TikTok in the description. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Join my Discord server where I post my stream schedules. You can shop on my Etsy store. I sell a bunch of different polymer clay figurines like the Plague Doctor here. I have a blog on WordPress. I also have my SCP author page in the description. Hope you all have a good rest of your weekend. Go Battlehawks, and enjoy these games.